Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, hello, hi, welcome. Welcome to Vilnius, first of all, and welcome to this event for, I think, the most exciting event for all the internationals in Vilnius, Open Vilnius 2022, and we really hope that after this event you will have more friends here and you will love Vilnius even more. My name is Paulius. I will be the moderator for this afternoon, and some 18 years ago I also came to Vilnius to live, to study and to live. Of course, I came here from Lithuania, but coming here from 300 people village into this city was like going to foreign country. So, yeah, it was a difference. So, yeah, I'm really glad that you are all here, and let's talk about the partners, the people who organize this event. So, this event is organized by International House Vilnius, Tech City, Startup Lithuania, and Work in Lithuania, and I will introduce each of those really quick. So International House Vilnius' goal is to make relocation to Lithuania smoother by providing most needed public services in one place. So consultations, events, Lithuanian language courses. I think some of you or majority of you already know this thing. You know International House Vilnius already. Startup Lithuania is the national startup ecosystem facilitator between fast-growing businesses, venture capital funds, accelerators, and startup-friendly enterprises. Work in Lithuania is a talent attraction program dedicated to encouraging highly skilled professionals from abroad to build their careers in Lithuania. Basically, Work in Lithuania acts as a link between people who are looking to land their dream jobs and international companies. So, and last but not the least, the Tech City, who invited all us today to their home. So basically, we are guests of Tech City. And I want you to meet today's host, who is eager to greet you personally. Yulia from Tech City, the floor is yours and the microphone is yours. Round of applause for Yulia.
Hi, hello everyone. It is a great pleasure on behalf of Tech City to welcome you all here. And this opportunity to host such a lovely crowd of international people makes us really happy and proud. So thank you for coming here. So Tech City is infrastructure for success, and no matter how you define it. We are on a mission to build the largest community of companies and people, each successful on its own way. So we want to see Lithuanian startup ecosystem achieve its full potential. And by choosing to work, live, and create here, you are largely contributing to its development. Our part here is to provide infrastructure for your growth. So, our story started in 2013 when we opened our first location, now called Tech Arts. A couple years later, a former military hospital has been transformed into a technology hub where we are now, Tech Park. So fast forward a couple more years, and Tech City now has 4 open locations with 3 more on the way. This wouldn't be possible without a growing startup community. So that's why we use a community-first approach in everything we do. And the fact that you all came here together serves us as a reminder that this work is really important. So I invite you all to work with us, to learn with us, to even live with us in Druskininkai, and to grow with us, and we are at your service. So I wish you all a wonderful event and a fruitful networking. Let's build our success stories together.
Thank you, Yulia. I've actually been to Tech Spa Druskininkai. It's really great, been there a couple of times. So Vilnius has been open city for the last 700 years. Since the Duke Gediminas decided to build the city here, he wrote letters all over Europe, and he asked people to come here to work, professionals, different people of different crafts, etc. So we also have a very, let's say, we have a very important guest today. Unfortunately, he's on a business trip today, but the mayor of Vilnius, Remigijus Šimašius, has a couple of words to say to you, so all eyes on the screen, the mayor is speaking.
Dear international Vilnius citizens, first of all, I would like to congratulate you once again for choosing Vilnius for living, creating, working. And I think it's a great opportunity both for you and for Vilnius to prosper and to become even better place. Actually, even 16% of Vilnius citizens were born not in Lithuania. Vilnius, as you see, is a very international city. Our goal is to make everyone feel like at home from the first day of coming to Vilnius, especially when you come to live, not just to visit, and you did so. So we invited you to come together, to know each other better, to see how many nationalities, how many different experiences do we have and do we gather in Vilnius. I think that you, and I hope that you will make more friends here, you will bring more colors to Vilnius. And of course, I would like to wish you a good event today, good autumn in Vilnius, and good life in Vilnius.
So thank you, Mayor. Yeah, you can give a round of applause, but he's not hearing them. You know, it was recorded, so he's not watching us now. Or is he watching on the stream? So yeah, we have a lot of activities prepared for you today. We have a couple of panel discussions. We have networking events. We have a quiz hosted by me, yours truly, and a lot of other stuff. So I'll say let's start with the first discussion, the first panel discussion, how to build a career in Vilnius, success stories and challenges. And I would like to introduce to you the moderator of this discussion, Inga Langaitė, CEO of Unicorns Lithuania. Inga, the floor is yours. Please feel free to introduce other speakers.
Hello, everyone. As Paulius already mentioned, Vilnius is having history of welcoming different kind of people here to work, to live, to make lives here. And we as a nation were the most successful when we were welcoming those people to be here. So I'm introducing my participants of my panel. Alex, please join. Tibu and Sandra. For all who listens us here in this hall, but also online, please know that we have Slido. You can photo this code and ask questions as well, if you want to. So as a beginning, let's talk about your stories. Everyone is not Lithuanian, not born here as well. So everyone, could you please tell your short story, how you came here, what you are doing, and how do you like it? Alex, maybe let's start from you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I came here from the UK, so we decided to remain in the European Union. So we quitted the UK and moved to here because Lithuania is, for us, it is like hidden gem in the EU, and I think we will touch these topics a bit later. But the point is that we brought our startup, wine startup. By the way, we will have networking event with our wines, so you all are welcome to join. We brought it here and started from here. Now we are developing to other countries. We have second country where we are present. And my background before coming here is mainly investment and management consulting. I founded several companies before. Decided that it's enough to work in big companies. It's time to start my own. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Sandra? Your story is really interesting.
I am Colombian born and raised. I'm a startup founder. I've been working in education for 15 years probably, and started developing digital products for education like 8 years ago. And I always wanted to leave the Latin American ecosystem and see what was out there. And I came here 2 years ago. In the most unlikely of the situations, in the middle of a pandemic, and landed here in December 2020, and I'll be having a blast and loving it.
Tibu.
Good, yeah. So my background is a bit different, I think. I have been in Lithuania now for 13 years. So it's been quite some time already. And my relation with Lithuania is that I came here as an Erasmus student, actually, from France. I did my year in Mykolas Romeris. It was pretty amazing. And then I decided to come back, finish my studies. And I then wanted to make 1 year abroad, kind of to have an international experience and so on. And this 1 year turned basically into 13. And I now work at ConnectPay, which is also a fintech, and I'm a chief compliance officer there. Okay. So, thank you.
So, why Lithuania? Everyone?
I go. Yeah, I think that when I started out, the first thing you do is, just go and search online. Where to, go. What do you want to take your company? And then you start, just like browsing. That is the nice thing, is that when you are building technology, you feel so, free to, just take your company anywhere. And after a very thorough research, the Baltics were kind of like, this is the place to go. And then I started, like giving a very thorough look towards the Baltics, and Lithuania popped up and seemed like the best way to go. And it was just a pleasant surprise to see how things turn out to be like incredibly easy. I know that if you are Lithuanians or probably Europeans, you complain a lot of your governments, but that's because you don't know Latin American governments, where everything is incredibly slow and almost nothing works. So that was kind of my very first experience with something Lithuanian, that was like incredibly fast, efficient, and I was like, well, that's the way to go. And then I just jumped in.
You just told me that your startup visa came in just 10 days, right?
Yeah, I applied. So probably for those that are not coming from the startup funding, there's a very typical structure that whenever you're going to apply for something, you have a deck, a PowerPoint presentation saying what you have to do. So I just I sent it, and in 4 days I had my first panel, and 2 days after I have the next interview, the next panel, and 4 days after I was given my visa, and I was like, excuse me, they're shitting me. I was like, no, this cannot be real. I had to double check, and I was like, I cannot believe that. But this was in the middle of a pandemic, so I couldn't fly. They was like, okay, you can come whenever you want, and I was like, really? Like, no, but everything was locked down, and then that was made. And a couple of months after, proactively, Startup Visa approached me, and they gave me a transit permit signed by the Ministry of Foreign Relations saying that I was able to fly. And I was like, there's no way, this is not happening. So, they marked all the boxes.
Okay, tell me that funny story about that permit.
Yeah, so yeah, for those who are, different shade of color than the typical Europeans, like traveling across the world, when you sound Colombian and look Colombian, is a little bit difficult. So I had to explain, I had to make something like 3 or 4 connections. But the moment I was going to jump into a plane, I had to explain what I was going to do and why I was flying in the middle of the pandemic. And I had this letter that was in Lithuanian. So, and I was like, no, but trust me, like, I don't even know what it says there, but yeah, it's true, and I'm supposed to be there. So I was late for everything. I had to explain myself, I don't know, more times than I want to remember, because the story itself was a little bit odd. Like, what is a, Colombian living, this paradise of weather to, go to in a small country and start a company there. And I was like, yes, that's right, that's correct, that's what I'm doing. So, yeah. It was interesting.
Okay, thank you for the story. Alex, how did you choose Lithuania or Vilnius?
Yeah, that was almost scientific approach because we were entitled like all the documents in the UK, and we had to establish the company there. But like there was pandemic and Brexit and everything, and we realized that instead of focusing on our startup and technology, we would be struggling with borders, customs, and all that bureaucracy. So that's why we decided to move to the EU. And there, of course, we knew the Netherlands, which is like the famous place to establish company if you are outside, even British people now, British companies, they establish their European branches in the Netherlands now. So it was the first choice, and then other countries, and we made a table and checked all the conditions, everything, and realized that two Baltic states are like the leaders in this comparison. I mean, Estonia and Lithuania, and we were like, we decided that Southern Europe would not work because they have a lot of wine, and we will never work. So we will like too much of this sun and everything. Then Central Europe or Eastern Europe, and Central Europe is very interesting when you are already developed, and the Baltic states are quite small, and especially Lithuania is like a startup nation itself, so it tries to develop fast as a startup, and tries to be agile and very flexible as a startup. So like it turned out that joining like-minded people and like-minded nation, I would say, would be even more beneficial for us, like being also a pre-seed stage startup, pre-seed stage team. So we decided that Lithuania is much more interesting than other countries for us, according to all these criteria. And there was something more. It was like cultural aspect. I know, like, I like history. It's something, one of my passions, together with strategy. As I mentioned, I worked in the management consulting, so my main profession is strategist. So I like to think a lot. I like to think big, and I know history very well, and I know history of Lithuania and all the past 1,000 years, and it is so interesting, so exciting, and culturally so close to Poland, to Belarus, to all neighbors, that we realized that coming here would be much better for us in terms of integration. So that was the last drop, which switched our decision from staying in the UK or going to Estonia, switched to coming to Lithuania.
Okay, scientific approach. And what your approach, Thibaut?
So it's quite a funny story because to be completely fair, for my Erasmus, it wasn't exactly my first choice. But I didn't got my first choice, and I arrived in Vilnius, and I think it was only the second year or something like this that there were Erasmus students coming here. So it was an interesting experience that, you know, the classes were not set, it was not very well built at that time, but it was fantastic because we felt, you know, like we are the first one to come, to have this international experience and so on. And then, you know, when I came back to France, I was a bit missing that, and I was missing, you know, the kind of being in some place that are like more opportunities where things are changing really fast and so on. And that's why also I decided to come back. Well, even if it was supposed to be temporary at the beginning, I came back, and it's true. I mean, if you look at Vilnius as a city, for example, the way it grew, the way it changed in 13 years, it's incredible. Just taking, you know, something very important, culinary, the cuisine. and I still remember, you know, when you were like 10, 12 years ago, and the culture of food was like, they were throwing plates at you and, you know, eat whatever you want now. And now you go in Vilnius, you visit some amazing restaurant, like you have the choice, and it's changing so fast. And it's really something, you know, when I am in France, I kind of miss it. Of course, I love being there, I love seeing my family and so on, but it doesn't have this ever-changing, you know, it's looked like it's a bit stuck, it's a bit older Europe, and I think Vilnius and Lithuania is really something different, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to hear. Okay, so what was unusual for you when you came to Vilnius? What surprised or shocked you, maybe? Culturally, food, behavior, climate, winters?
Yeah. well, I think there is a bit of all of that we were discussing with someone earlier. And yeah, it was really a different culture. And well, especially for me, it was a long time ago. You're a bit more recent. But I still remember jumping in a taxi to go around, having the guy smoking in front, and that was a bit different. It's not the case anymore, also. But yeah, for me, I think at the beginning, at least, now it has changed. What really changed to me is, and again, I will speak about food, is this feeling that. Here, like you eat to feel full, you know. It's not so much to enjoy and so on. And me as a French person, I like food. I think it's visible, and it took me some time to get used to that. But it's cultural difference.
Alex, where did you had to adjust coming from UK?
I think what impressed me the most is how many sporty and healthy people are on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of sports grounds, which is really scarce in Central Europe, in the UK. So you won't find that much sports ground like available to public and free to enter, and that many of them. And you won't see that many like sporty people, I mean, like in terms of shape and figure, and despite having that nutritious food, they really do very great. So you can see a lot of people doing sports, and even in the center next to the river, there is like a big sports ground with basketball, with all types of activities, and this is amazing, and that even motivated me to go out and to work out like in those sports grounds, which I didn't do, I think, for a while.
Okay, how interesting. Sandra?
I will say that two things. First is I think that the expat community here has a different touch. Like, I mean, the first friends I made them through football, right? We have a team of expats, and you know, these are not just, you know, visitors, people that are, you know, just spending the summer, and they all have, you know, they share in common kind of this excitement of like, I know you get to a place and you're like, you have this feeling like there's something really nice about to happen here, right? Like we feel lucky we're here because there's something big coming, and that was kind of an interesting feeling. And probably the second thing was just opening a bank account. That's it. It was just so easy that I couldn't believe it. In Colombia, I had to beg different, bank managers to, you know, just to prove the account, you know, like have money, I have everything, and they were like, no, maybe not. And here it was like, you know, like they barely talked to me. They took my paperwork. Here's your bank account. Go and do business. And I was like, wow. So yeah, those two things.
Okay. Any other difficulties?
I mean, I wish I could practice more Lithuanian. Yeah, I mean, because they see my, you know, my face and they switch to English. I wish they weren't switching that often. I wish I had more chance to practice Lithuanian a bit more.
Tibu, do you speak Lithuanian?
I do speak, I do understand, but you raise a very good point. Like every time I start speaking in Lithuanian, usually I get answer in English. I have a bit of an accent, I think. Okay. Inevitable.
Okay. Okay. So what is top choice? Why here in Vilnius, not somewhere else? What is different from other cities or countries? Because you can choose. Some points you already mentioned, but what else?
For me, I think that it would be really hard to find a place in which you would find such a, you know, high quality of life. Number one, right? It's truly unbelievable, and so convenient. Like I just fell in love with small cities. I come from a city that is 10 million people. Just my city, like, you know, a regular neighborhood is the size of Vilnius. But having that quality of life in a small convenient place, and where you find, top talent and amazing, interesting people from everywhere. I think I mean, that's hard to find, I have to say.
Okay, everyone, you are working, either started your own startup or working in other startup. How do you find this startup community here?
It's fantastic, and it's something that is pretty new as well, right? I feel a bit like a old person today in the community saying, oh, in my time was different and so on. But the startup environment in Vilnius it's fantastic, and it's brilliant the way it was pushed also politically from the government to open it to that. I think again, and I will say it again, at my time, there were not so many maybe opportunities for foreigners to come here and to work here. And I think now there is really a lot of jobs that are being created through it, a lot of high value job, which is really also making a difference. And the way, you have so many organizations now that are, helping people to get in, helping people to get the funding, to get the registration and so on. It's really helping to grow the country in the right direction, I think. I remember when I had to register in the migration office, like there was no support, nothing, and that was a different experience. But now it's a lot easier, and it's really a good sign.
Okay, did anyone spoke with you English in that time?
No.
No. So how did you manage?
Well, I don't know. Somehow I'm still here.
Did you invite any friends, acquaintances to come here to Vilnius? Because you already 13 years here, right? So you are really great ambassador as a foreigner.
Yeah. So, interesting enough is that obviously, the good thing at that time, and when you were mentioning for registration, there were really people that were ready to help you, to drive you through, and yeah, of course, that helps a lot. Not official organization, but just the people that were happy to have foreigners here, to have new people coming, and it was a very nice feeling. I think, when I speak with my friend back in France and so on, sometimes I have a hard time to understand, why I'm staying here. But it's really all about the quality of life. For example, for me, a lot of people were asking me, you are French, why don't you work, in Paris? You will be making more money, it's easier, more opportunities. But it's not true. At the end, I would spend like 4 hours in the traffic to go to work, right? If I want to go a bit out and enjoy some time in the nature, it's super complicated. If I want to rent a flat or to find a place, it's also, you have to jump in, you have very little opportunities, you are far from your work, and at the end you just, you leave your place, you go to work, you come back, you sleep, right? While here, I think you have a lot more opportunity with the size of the city, with going in the nature. You take your car, you go by foot, 10 minutes, that's it. You're in the forest, you can enjoy it, and I think, that's great.
Do you have any suggestions for those who just thinking about coming here? How to proceed? Any lessons learned?
I would say hurry up.
Not many flats left.
Yeah, I mean, no. But at the end of the day, is the truth of every other ecosystem is that it gets crowded. Like if there's a moment to make the move, is now. And I'm gonna self-promote a little bit here because you were asking like how do you find and get in contact with other startups. A couple of months ago, Alex and I will launch a small group that is called Startup Thursday, in which we'll just get together and have a few drinks every Thursday here. That we're planning to relaunch. I mean, well, I was out of the country and whatever, but yeah, I think that try to connect proactively. I would say that startups and other founders and other expats that can help you get integrated easily are there. You just need to go for them. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Alex?
Actually, two questions. The first was why Vilnius, and the second about startup ecosystem. I think Vilnius is like the right size of the city to live in and to balance work and life. And yeah, I agree with those like. It's the greenest capital in Europe with all these forests available just like 10-15 minutes from any home. And that's amazing. This is the right side. If it is smaller, there will be much less people, much less entrepreneurs and startup founders. So it means that smaller community, and smaller community means like something different in terms of like help and networking and so on. If it is much bigger, you won't be able to connect to everyone because, like, for example, if you take 2 million or like 8 million like London city, then you never reach some parts of it. So you just stay in several districts and you connect with something almost of a size of Vilnius. So this is the right size, and I agree that startup founders or any entrepreneurs or any like people willing to relocate should hurry up, because like in 10 years the Baltics will be like a hot spot for migration, and different reasons for that, starting from the global climate change and all other things. And like if you compare density of population in the Baltics and in Central Europe, in the UK, they are 10 times more. So I really think that in 10 years, like, people will be willing to come here. So like, come faster and take your spot before all those crowds arrive. And regarding startup community, yeah, please join us on Startup Thursday. And actually, like, startup ecosystem is startup itself, I would call it. So I wouldn't like to leave you, I mean, like the ones who listen to us, to leave you with the impression that everything is very much developed, but it is not undeveloped at all. So it is developing, and you can be part of this, and you like can contribute to this and help to develop it to the direction or to the goal you would like to, because everything is developing, and you just come, join, be proactive, and create your own community, your own network, and we will start from today. So it is developing. It is not that developed as in the Silicon Valley, but it is definitely much more developed than many other countries, because the mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, is also something different in Lithuania and in Vilnius, and that's maybe not. It impressed me, maybe not that big as like sporty people, but I definitely noticed how people are entrepreneurial here, and they have like 2, 3, 4 businesses, small businesses doing this or that, and like selling stuff and everything. And this is like good in terms of economy. And if you see what Germany does, they try to create as much small businesses as possible in order to increase chances to get like new Mercedes-Benzes and Volkswagens and all these companies. So the more like small enterprises you have, the better chances for success for the country you have. That's the point. And yeah, Vilnius is the right size, and it is the right time to come here. But be prepared to be proactive and contribute to developing startup community together with us.
Nice. Tibu, you as a specialist with really impressive resume, which I understand you made everything here in Lithuania, in Vilnius, right? So what are your suggestions for other specialists? Maybe not necessarily come here to start company, startup, right? What do you see opportunities for others who can come now, not 13 years ago?
Well, I think 10 years ago was also pretty good. I'm still here. But I think now in Lithuania, and not everywhere in the Baltic, but more specifically in Lithuania, there have never been that many opportunities, I think. And then it all depends on your personality, but if you're a person that is really looking for being in a place that is changing fast, that is quite fast-paced environment, and where the opportunities basically can come, you know, if you have a chance to catch them, this is a good time to go. At the opposite, I think if you're a person that wants very calm, stable, and spending your entire life in the same place, maybe you are better in some other place. But I think here is really the good time of change, actually.
Time of opportunities,
Yeah.
right? So we have also some questions from the audience. So Sandro and Alex, the language, was the challenge to build your business here?
Do you want to take that?
Maybe some funny stories?
I can start because we conducted a lot of experiments in our first shop, and it was like B2C, and we had to face clients and to serve them, and we did that not in Lithuanian, and that's amazing. That's something what is remarkable about the country, about people. People speak at least 2 languages here. In rare case, they speak only Lithuanian, but most probably they speak at least 2 or maybe 3 or 4 languages, and this is like normal for locals, and switching between languages is not a problem at all. So it wasn't an issue. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should be like arrogant and not like to learn like cultural things or some basic things in Lithuanian, but it's not a problem. And yeah, I learned the phrase which helped me about funny stories. The phrase which helped me to switch to other languages, which is "Ar jūs kalbate angliškai arba rusiškai?" And like people were answering, "Do I look like foreigner? Why do you ask me that I speak some other language but Lithuanian?" So and I had to explain that it was me who doesn't speak Lithuanian, and yeah.
I think that I probably had one time in which I had a really hard time. It was at a Maxima, and my card wasn't working, and I was alone, like nobody else was with me, and you know, the lady, of course, she didn't understand what I was saying, but and I guess she was really mad, or looked really mad, but she was like spun at me. But no, I mean, I forgot to mention this, but my startup is a language learning startup, so I'm a big fan of that. But my Lithuanian is still not there, but it's not a problem, right? I don't think it's a problem. I nevertheless, I kind of concur with what Alex said, is that, and it wasn't part of my plan. Like, I didn't come here planning to sell to Lithuania. I came here to build a worldwide company, right? Like a company that could impact or go anywhere. So initially, that wasn't not even part of the plan, as from a market's point of view, wouldn't make a lot of sense. But no, it's not a problem. And I do have I have my own version of that. Mine is this, neturiu nieko įdomaus kaip pasakyti lietuviškai. And then I switch to English, and then I'll make it. But no, not a problem.
But with the banks, with the bureaucrats, no problem.
No. So again, maybe I'm overusing the Latin American example, but I am so happy that I have not yet met a tax officer, for instance. I don't know what that is to go here and talk to a tax officer. I haven't had to, right? And I don't want to, like. But no.
They are nice.
They're nice, but yeah, but maybe maybe for a beer, but not for tax purposes, because that would mean that I did something wrong. No, but overall, no. I mean, like, conducting yourself without needing the language is possible. Of course, I think that for us that have a plan of integrating into the societies is tremendously important. And I myself, even in my startup, we're working on that. We have a special, Lithuanian is close to our heart, so we're planning on something but it's completely possible. But it's cool to learn it, nevertheless. It's a trip to the past. So
cool to learn the oldest and most difficult language in Europe.
It's a trip to the past, as Kant said it, right? It's the past.
Yeah, actually, Lithuanian is like Indo-European language, one of the closest to Proto-Indo-European languages.
Yeah, but
and if you speak like English, German, or any other languages, you can find something common in
Okay.
the logic, in the grammar.
And for the specialist, would you suggest to someone that they can manage around without any kind of Lithuanian knowledge?
If you stay in Vilnius, yes. If you want to visit and discover a bit more Lithuania, I think you need to have some basis. But I think the coolest thing in the Lithuanian language is the diminutives that you use at the end, you know, like a mažukas. and the funny part is when I was learning it, you know, I did not really understand it, how it works. So I remember going to the restaurant and, you know, asking for, oh, can I have some vandenyukas? And probably they thought I speak like a 5 years old at that time, but it's very cute. It's very cute.
So it's good conversation started, right?
Yes.
Okay, one more question from the audience. I have a startup idea, just the idea. What should I do to turn it into actual startups? Any suggestions?
Sorry, could you?
I have a startup idea, just the idea. What should I do to turn it into actual startup?
Start experimenting. So whenever you have idea, just go and experiment as fast as possible, as cheap as possible. The more experiments you do, the more successful you'll become. Like, there is no other way. No theory, no, like, do not attend any, like, lectures and all that stuff. Do not read books, because this is procrastination. This is looking for answers which are not there. You will never find answers particularly to your question, to your idea, in any book, in any lecture, and the outcome of all those lectures and everything would be go and try. So if it works, then it works. If it doesn't, then go and create another idea.
Nice.
I agree. I would add that I think that is the best way to test your idea is find someone that you think would be like really cool to build this with, and convince them that is worth building it, and then just jump into it. It's not impossible to do it yourself alone, but it's very, very, very hard, and doing startup is itself a very lonely ordeal. So it's better if you find, and go for a friend, right? And this is more like, a little bit like dating. Find someone that is worth, you're going to be, spending the next 10 years, trying to build something incredibly big. And dream big. I think that maybe if the person that asked the question by some chance is Lithuanian, dream incredibly big. Like, that's something I've found with some founders here. They tend to see themselves, too short, or sell themselves too short. And you have all the potential to build for the entire world. Like, the Baltics is too small. Europe is already too small for you. Just think incredibly big. And that's it.
Okay, and as a final question, I would ask every one of you to, if you would have possibility to make only one thing here in Vilnius to be more welcoming city for foreigners, what would you change? Just one thing.
That's a good one.
Anyone?
Only one? Yeah.
So the fact that we're taking our time seems that, we're in a good place. No, I think that there is one thing, but it has to go more a little bit of a national level, and it's that, you as a startup founder, at least, I'm talking from a startup founder point of view. People believe sometimes that, you're just after the money, or you're just after the hype, or, some sort of lifestyle. But truly what you are after is that you want to belong, and that you're after, you have to have a mission, right? And when you travel and when you try to find, like that ecosystem, it's, of course, the easy access to, business, and maybe, some progressive taxation is interesting. but more interesting is that you definitely want to build something of value and you want to belong, right? And that has to do more with you know, some national identities. Just that I think, and now I have the proper words to say. I think that, you know, becoming Lithuanian is too difficult. It's way too difficult, and it has way too many hurdles. And I don't know, if you just want and come and, you know, put all the value and risk it all, it shouldn't be that hard.
Alex, Thibaut?
Yeah, that's a good one, because there are a lot of things to develop always. It doesn't mean that all of them should be done simultaneously, and picking like one thing to focus on is a good one. And I think that holding more events like this one and creating more spaces to bring people in, and I mean not only startup founders, because this, like, from my personal point of view, this focus on startups becomes like too, how to say, too populistic, I would say, or too like exaggerated, because startup is just an entrepreneur which tries to grow faster than like ordinary entrepreneur, but the things, the skills, the knowledge which startup founders should have are the same of any businessman. And from my point of view, like, we need to create more places like that, more events like that, and bring more entrepreneurs there, not startup founders, not the ones like holding the flag of innovation, technology, or some other like fancy words, but like ordinary entrepreneurs, like merchants, producers, and I know quite a few of them. I mean, local producers who are doing nice stuff. They try to develop faster, to grow faster, but they lack maybe some skills, some approaches, and they would benefit from learning from startup founders. And startup founders sometimes lack business skills, which those people do have. Yeah. So, and bringing all these people together in like on monthly basis, like the least once per 2 months, would be like the most important thing for Lithuania, I guess. At least we will be closer to the Silicon Valley, where people exchange ideas and exchange teams, and I agree with like building teams is very crucial in more places, in more like they will have more opportunity to do so. So that's what I would focus on.
So Tech City and Go Vilnius, I guess you heard the task for the future. Thibaut?
So I think what Lithuania started to do and continue to do it and need to accelerate is really like advertise and market, you know, the country itself, the city. Well, those events are also for that, but people need really to be able to point out on the map where it is, what can be done in terms of opportunities and so on, and I think it really needs to be pushed. Another thing, and it's a bit more maybe secondary, but it's very complicated to come to Lithuania from transport-wise and so on, to find a plane, you know, when you want to go to one place to another. There used to be a Lithuanian flying company that is not there anymore, but I think, you know, that would also encourage the people to come and facilitate the transport by growing this area as well.
Yeah, also very simple but important things to do for us. So thank you everyone for this fruitful discussion. Round of applause for all of them. Thank you. Thank you, and if you want to meet them, you can catch after event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Inga, and thank for all the speakers. Actually, the last question that someone of you asked, what to change or what to add for Vilnius to be more welcoming. I also spent good 5 minutes thinking what should that be, but my suggestion is simple: just add more bicycle lanes, and that's it. And just level all the hills if possible, because sometimes it's quite hard. So we will be moving towards the second discussion about how to make new friends in Vilnius. I know that's hard. That's hard especially if you come not to study with like-minded people from other villages from Lithuania. But we have a couple of things for you prepared for that as well. First of all, I want to advertise once again that I'll be hosting a quiz, and the registration has already started. You can register over there. Yeah, there's a table. There are two girls. One of them is just waving. The other one doesn't know should she wave or not. So yeah, you can go there, register there. You will be randomly assigned a team, and you will compete for some great prizes. And questions will be related to I won't say what, but basically it's about Vilnius and Lithuania. It's all that. Okay. So yeah, that's the quiz. You can register over there or do that outside as well. But the quiz will start here at 6 and it will be inside. So don't forget that. Another thing, there's another thing called befriend or befriend. That's the same word actually. So yeah, you can also find the program Befriend. It's over there. If you go outside and turn right, you can register either to be a mentor for someone who just arrived to Vilnius, or to find a mentor, someone to help you to find your way around Vilnius. So these two things I think will help you to participate, to find new friends, etc. So. Yeah, the microphones, are you changing the microphones? Yeah, you can do that while I speak, all right? Okay, so yeah, a lot of things planned for you today as well. We will have this discussion. The people are already preparing for that. It's about how to make friends, how to find new friends in Vilnius, of course. The moderator will introduce all the people that will be speaking. So yeah, one more thing. Yeah, quiz. I see some people registering there over there. So yeah, you won't need anything too special. You will only need one member from the team should have a working smartphone with internet connection, and we only have 50. That's 5. We only have 50 places in the quiz, so if you want to participate, it might be those places might have ended before you did that. And also, yeah, if you're here in Vilnius for a while and you want to mentor someone who has just arrived to Vilnius, because moving to Vilnius might be hard sometimes, you can go over there, just outside in the corridor, you can find Befriend, and that's about it. So, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's start our discussion. The name of the discussion is Labas kaip sekas, which is Lithuanian for hi, how are you? Tips and tricks how to become a local, and please meet your moderator, Tautvydas Tamulevičius, head of business at Go Vilnius. So Tautvydas, the floor and the microphone is yours.
Hello, everyone. Super exciting to see all of you here, and I've been outside. I know that some people are seeing us and watching it live, being outside and online as well. It's really cool to see how Vilnius is growing. I work for Go Vilnius, which is an agency. It's a municipal agency. What we do is we promote Vilnius as a destination for tourism, for investment, as a destination to live in. And to promote something, of course, it has to be good. I'm not saying it isn't, it is, but there's room for improvement. And what trend are we on? The city is growing every year. We have more and more people coming in from both Lithuania and outside. Actually, last month, we reached a pretty cool milestone of 60,000 people from abroad living in Vilnius. With a population of 600,000, well, I'm rounding numbers here, that means that every 10th person living in Vilnius right now is, well, from abroad, hasn't been born here. It's an international person. And knowing that Vilnius is becoming more and more international, and understanding that just as in nature, things either grow or they die, and we're on a trend to grow with the city, we understand that more and more people actively take up a role of creating and shaping the city. Every one of us, being here, living in Vilnius, we actively create what the experience of living in Vilnius is. So I am really excited to host this particular discussion. My panel is getting ready with their mics, or are they? Yeah, just about ready, with people that have spent a very different amount of time in Vilnius, from a couple of years to almost a decade by now. And also we'll be talking about one of the institutions that is organizing this event, in the National House of Vilnius, and how they can help and what services they provide to make sure that everyone feels welcomed, everyone is, well, as integrated as they want to become. Because again, we'll be discussing if integration and being a part, being a local, is actually something that you should strive for, something that just happens while you sit there, or are there some actions and what they can be to speed up the process. So my panel, Anastasia, Fabian, Agne, and Steven, please join me on stage, and I'll give you a minute to introduce yourself. A round of applause. And the last thing that I want to mention is that, just as with the previous discussion, we have a Slido platform working. I have it on my phone. I see what you guys are typing. Any questions that you have for the panel, or even any comments or some personal stories that you want to say or share, one way, a simple way, a low-tech way, is to raise your hand. It does work. I see hands, I will approach, and you get a chance. Or a more introverted but a more digitalized way is to scan the code, go on Slido platform, type it up, and I will see it on my phone. So let's begin. Steven, Agne, Fabian, Anastasia, can you guys introduce yourself in a couple of sentences, just your general experience in Vilnius so far? How long have you been here, and what do you guys do? Anastasia, can you begin?
Yeah, so I can start. I'm really nice to meet you all. It is a great opportunity for me. So originally I'm from Ukraine. I was born in Crimea. Then I moved to western part of the Ukraine, to Lviv. Spent there a few years. And after that, I was offered the position in a Lithuanian company. They're making transfers. And it was quite a huge amount of Ukrainian customers, so they needed Ukrainian-speaking customer support. So they offered the position and the relocation for me, so I decided why not. I decided that should be fun. And also I had a little love story behind of that, because my boyfriend previously was offered the position in Lithuania, so it's kind of typical for the foreigners. It's like kind of love immigration, so I am the same case. So yeah, we decided just to move from the Ukraine, and how I ended up here. Right now I'm working as a fraud prevention specialist in Vinted. I worked there for half of the year. And in general in Lithuania, I've been for 3 years, living here in Vilnius.
Okay, Fabian?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Fabian. I'm from Ecuador, and I live in Lithuania for 9 years. I came to Lithuania for love. I'm a love immigrant, males emigranta, let's say. I met a Lithuanian girl in USA, the classic story, and then I fell in love and I came to Lithuania. I'm not with this girl anymore, but I really enjoy living here. So I was studying, and now I'm working as a head of business development in 500 Leaders. It's a sales academy. And in my free time, I'm a blogger, let's say, I'm doing TikTok videos, Instagram, and that's it.
Agne, you have a bit of different story, but could you also talk about yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm the only one here who's from Lithuania and from Vilnius, actually. I was born here, I was raised here. I went to school here, and then I went abroad to live for several years. I lived in various European capitals, but only living abroad I realized how actually nice Vilnius is, and I decided to return. So living in a metropolis like Berlin, where I lived, is really exciting, but also it's just, you start to appreciate how much time you can save for commuting when you're in a small city like Vilnius. So currently I'm working for International House Vilnius. I'm the head of International House Vilnius, and maybe I would like to say a couple of words about what we do, because maybe not everyone is familiar. So we try to make relocation easier by combining various state institutions all in one place, all working as a team and providing services to foreigners. So there's no need to go to places that are scattered around the city. Our clients just come to our center and get everything they need in one day. Apart from that, we're organizing various kinds of events. Some are informational events, workshops where you can learn more about topics that are important to foreigners. For example, how to look for a job, how to get social security, how to find a flat, and stuff like that. Also, we do events where foreigners get a chance to meet each other, and this is our, not the first attempt, but I would say the largest attempt so far, and I'm so excited that so many of you have come here. And yeah, let's see where this goes. We're about to do more events like that, so follow us.
Cool. Steven.
Yes, so I'm Steve Jones. I am a research group leader at Vilnius University, and moved here from the United States. I suppose it's possible my accent might give that away. Moved here 400 days ago, we'll say. Yeah, so just over a year. And I moved here with my wife and my greyhound, who's in the front row, so she's very friendly. The dog and the wife, both of them are very friendly. But anyway, so moved here because of this excellent opportunity to lead a research team. So my field of research is gene editing, and that's one of the areas of excellence in Lithuania. And so they were establishing a new partnership with basically the largest research organization in Europe. They were looking internationally to find talent, and apparently I'm one of those talents. So here I am.
So cool to have such a diverse set of group of people that really represent all the sort of the talents and all the stories that we see among people that choose to come to Vilnius for different reasons. It's also quite statistically correct to have half of people having a love story sort of in there, because that does happen, yeah, about 50% of the time. But the topic of our discussion today is to discuss how to become local. And I would like to start with your ideas about the process of becoming and what it actually means to become local. Is it really a thing that you have to strive for? Is it something that, you know, if you spend long enough, it just sometimes just creeps up on you, and one day, and you're not sure, you know, which day? It might be Monday, it might be Wednesday. You wake up in the morning and somehow it pops. Yeah, I'm here, you know, I'm local. Or is there some, you know, actions that need to be taken? Sort of a thought process behind this. That okay, I want to, you know, yeah, your thoughts. I won't be, you know. Suggesting my ideas here, but just your thoughts about the process. Is it automatic, or does it have to be conscious? Do we need to make certain actions to actually become local? So your ideas on that. And Agne also, I mean, because you see so many people, you know, coming to International House Vilnius every day, every month, every week. Your ideas and your thoughts, you know, about sort of rounding up the typical aspects of this, right? Is it something that most of the people from abroad coming to Vilnius they have in their thoughts, in their minds, or is it something that usually is left sort of unchecked? But yeah, just to begin, Anastasia, could you share your ideas?
Yes, I can take this one. So for me, it's definitely a journey. It didn't happen like this. Like I wake up, yeah, I'm local person. For me, it was a journey, kind of hard one at the beginning. I would be like brutally honest. I had my dark times because I didn't feel that sense of belonging to the community, and it was affecting my mental health in the way, my emotional well-being. So for me, what helped, I just try to do something I really like and find like-minded people and strive for it. So for example, my current company, I surrounded by the people I really like to work with. We had some interest in common apart from work. And in those moments, like right now, I'm already here for 3 years, But just recently, maybe 6 months ago, I really got that morning, like you are saying, like I woke up, yeah, actually maybe I'm a local because I have Lithuanian speaking friends who doesn't know Ukrainian, who doesn't speak Russian. So I am sort of connected with the Lithuanian people. And that was the moment I realized, so yeah, actually I kind of becoming a local.
Okay, so Fabian, did you have that morning?
Yes, I had that morning many times. But I think in the beginning was a bit hard because coming from South America, you know, everybody is happy, even though we don't have a lot of money. People is happy, greeting the neighbors and so on. And when I just came here, everyone was so serious, you know, and everything was like, I don't know, like I went to the university, I say hi to some people, but no one said anything, or in the street or whatever. So it was like, come on, like, what's happening? After some time, I started to realize that, okay, we are in the north, let's say. It's cold, so maybe, okay, the people is a bit colder. And I think I started to feel that I belong here when I started to work. In maybe 2013, I started to work. I was the first foreigner in a startup. So then I had a lot of contact with Lithuanians, and it was nice, really. Then I thought, okay, these guys are cool. I just need to give them a bit of time, and that's it.
So you're actually going, you know, in the street and saying hi to random people?
Just to the neighbor, you know, like Lavas Ritas to the neighbor, you know. But back then and sometimes until now, actually last week, I say Lavas to one of the neighbors in the building. Nothing. I was like, damn.
But one day. One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, small steps, right?
Yes, yes, it's changing really. Like from 9 years ago until now, it changed a lot. It's amazing, really. Yeah.
Okay, and Agne, do you know, experiencing all the people coming to International House Vilnius, I take that you hear a lot of, you know, like similar stories. And this becoming local, is it a thing? Is it a thing that foreigners strive for? Is it something that is not, you know, in the sort of the agenda of a typical person that comes to International House Vilnius?
Yeah, so you know, it's hard to generalize because everybody is really different. Our research shows, we have done a research, we were asking foreigners what they like in Vilnius, what they like less in Vilnius. And one of the things that foreigners were kind of skeptical or complaining a little bit about was making friends with locals and integrating into the society and having your own community and making friends here. So apparently Lithuanians are a bit cold. Who could have thought, right? So it's not so easy to make friends with them. That's how it seems to foreigners. That's why we're organizing events like this, where they get a chance to mingle with locals and other foreigners. But also, I think this happens not only to Lithuanians, but I was an expat myself, so I lived elsewhere and then returned to Lithuania, and I had to make a home again here. You know, I was feeling a bit like a stranger at first, because when you live somewhere else, you just, I don't know, you change and you return to your country and you think everything stayed, but no, it also evolved a little bit. So it's a dynamic process and everybody has to adapt, but I think it's really important. Also, research shows that if people don't make connections in a country, then it's by 60% more likely they are going to leave the country. So it doesn't matter how good your job is, how good your salary is. You know, the conditions might be great, but if you don't have connections here, if you don't have that human touch, then you can just make a life just like as good as this somewhere else.
And Stephen, so 400 days.
Yeah.
400 mornings.
Yeah.
One of them was something that, you know, Anastasia and Fabian spoke about?
Maybe one of them. you get to know my personality, it's like pretty hard to beat me down. But
I would say like 380 probably.
yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, no, overall, it's been a really positive experience for me, and I think part of that is because I actually really just love the process of becoming a local, like learning those secret spots, getting to share that with people, getting to be that person that shows someone from the country something about their country that they didn't know. And, you know, because I enjoy that process, I think I've sort of developed some cheat codes along the way. And having a dog is definitely one of those cheat codes. You know, the neighbor might not say hello to you, but they will say hello to your dog. And, you know, actually, I just want to follow up on that, too, because there's been places when I was, you know, I've lived in a few different places in the U.S. as well, and there are just certain places you go to that, you know, greeting people on the street isn't a thing, and other places where it is. And you know, I think people, at least in the center where I work, realize that when I'm coming down the hall, I'm going to say hello, I'm going to wave, and eventually they start liking it, but it takes a little while. And I think in that respect, Fabian, I think I have a little bit of an advantage because I think people think of people from the United States as very like outgoing and gregarious and blah. So maybe I have the stereotype working for me.
And the dog, right? Sort of foot in the door strategy.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, it helps when she's a beautiful greyhound that's so well behaved. But, you know, people like to say hello to dogs. They make them feel good. I mean, we've even had instances at the university where we have, you know, basically bringing dogs there to people to pet, just feel good about, you know, just a little lightening up the mood. And I imagine, you know, maybe Agna, you could say something about this, but I imagine the same is probably true if you have children.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with children, it's just you make connections right away, right? So a dog, a child, maybe a turtle can help, but any kinds of tricks.
Please don't have a child just for that. You know, it's a short term, so very, very short term.
Wait, that's not why people have children?
Your mornings, I promise you, your mornings will be very, very different then.
I think it might flip it over, 380 bad ones? No.
But yeah, we have established then that, you know, becoming a local, it is a sort of a necessary, also from, you know, the standpoint of the research, which Agna mentioned, that if you don't get that feeling and if you're not established in a local community, that it's more likely that you'll be shifting somewhere else. We've established that it can lead to, you know, some dark places and sometimes, you know, in regards to your mental health, if you don't have a sense of belonging and a sense of, you know, being a local. So now let's jump to you know, yeah, the you know, why I asked about the dog and sort of, you know, what other tips do you have in regards from your experience? Because I think that all of you sound and you feel like, I mean, you're very well established here. You feel good here. You know, you're vibing together with the city. So in that experience and in that journey, are there any sort of concrete tips that others could also use? And I see that we already have one question in Slido. We'll get to that as well, but after this. So yeah, just tips and tricks that you could share, and then we'll roll with the other questions as well. Anastasia.
Yeah, so for me, like maybe it's a very hard, like I'm from Ukraine, obviously you know what is going on right now in my country. Russia invaded us. So for me, very hard point was when the war started, and I get to that point you're asking, because I started to volunteering, like from the first day it was possible to do in Lithuania, and I felt so much support, and I felt like be around very kind, like-minded people who supports through difficult times. And that was the place where I met people and started to make those connections apart from work, apart from my general community. So like sort of went out from my bubble, and it was really helpful because, I don't know, my family is really far from me. I cannot meet them, of course. So for me, those support I got from random people, from Maista Bankas, from Raudonus Kryžius, from our registration point when we met the people who fled from Ukraine. So that was one of the things. It was the heart, but through that I developed like sort of connection to other people outside of my bubble. After that, I decided just to do something to decompress, started like finding some interesting hobbies. I really like sport and really like music. So I just go to like, I don't know, Facebook groups. Sometimes there is a really popular group, maybe some of you know, Foreigners in Vilnius on Facebook. So I found quite a lot of interesting people over there. I found the guy who taught me how to play guitar. I found people how to play electric guitar. Yeah, so I'm kind of taking lessons. So he's a very cool guy. And I found some people to go for a random run in Vingis Parkas. I found a very nice girl. She's also from Ukraine. She's a photographer. So basically, if you had the opportunity to see the leaflet with the advertisement, that beautiful picture, it's her job. So yeah, I'm really proud of those talented people. And that's kind of the way I really like to think about what I can bring, how can I contribute, and where can I can find the opportunities to meet like-minded people. So that's my way. And so far so good. This is working. So actually me being here, it's the result of that, because Jana, organizer, she invited me because of that girl, that photographer suggested me as a person to be, might be interesting for you. So you see, I'm living example that works. So that's it.
And the Facebook, the social group, the Foreigners in Vilnius, which you mentioned, that you found, you know, this person, that person. Did you engage? Did you just monitor discussions? You engaged with them? You started discussions? What was the process behind, you know, finding people to hang out with through that?
Actually, I didn't start any discussion as far as I remember, but I participated. So for example, if someone looking for advice and I can advise something, I don't know, share the link, ping some person I know. So I'm trying to share my experience, but I'm just scrolling like we all do. And I found something like, for example, with that electric guitar lesson, the guy offered free lesson and I was like, okay, count me in. And just came to the studio, we decided to play, and that's how it started. With that girl, the photographer, it was the same. She just came to Lithuania. She also tried to find her ways to establish the connection, and that's how I found her. I just connected and like, yeah, let's go make something creative, like make some artsy photo shoot. So yeah, like this.
Okay, and Fabian, you also had a long journey. All throughout that journey, you know, what were your sort of tips and tricks that you used, apart from the love story, which is self-explanatory?
Yes, I think it's important to learn a bit of Lithuanian language. Every time you use some simple words, people smile at you, and that's cool. I think Lithuanians appreciate when you try to learn the language. You know, I'm not a professional in Lithuanian for sure, but I try, and that's how you can establish connections. And also, following up about social media, I think there are a lot of events you can find there that in the summer especially, and there are a lot of music festivals in the summer here that foreigners really don't know, you know, like, and me, I'm living here 9 years. I go every summer to 3-4 festivals, and I meet a lot of Lithuanians, you know, and that's because I like, you know, like to go to the festival, to do the camping, you know, you can meet crazy people, nice people, and I see that during the summer, the people here is really more happy and open, so it's a perfect moment to make connections, let's say, yeah.
And Agne, from International House Vilnius point, clearly one of the ideas behind International House Vilnius is to facilitate this, becoming local and helping out. So what are the concrete things? How do you help out?
Yeah, so here I can mention one of our newest products that we have launched once war started. We have launched a mentorship program where every foreigner, we first focused on Ukrainians, now we're opening up for all foreigners. They can get a local mentor. So you can call it a mentor, you can call it a buddy, you can call it a new friend. But the goal of this program is to connect people who maybe in other circumstances would not connect, and this connection would not be just so easy. But mentorship can be whatever the person needs. It can be just walking around, it can be talking, it can be telling Lithuanian jokes. It can be, I don't know, recommending the best supermarket or where you get particular dog food or whatever. So this is I'm really happy of this project, and I think it kind of helps foreigners who find it hard to make Lithuanian friends to break the cycle, because once you're a foreigner, of course, it's really tempting just to hang out with other internationals, you know, because then you have more to talk about and share your own experiences, but to make the first Lithuanian friend can be challenging. So our program solves that problem.
Okay, and Steven, your tips out of your 400 days.
I have 3 tips, and hopefully I can remember the third one by the time we get
Waving was
there.
one of them, right? Waving?
Yeah,
Having
waving.
a dog.
Oh, that's 4 then.
Okay.
Dog's 5. No, my first tip, which I think is probably the most important one, and I'm going to stare intensely out at the audience for this one, which is to realize that you all have a unique lived experience, and that's something that other people here value that. Right, so if you can share that with people and find those people that means something to them, that's going to help you form those kind of relationships. Because at least in my experience, I know that there's a lot of Lithuanians here that are really interested about the way that other people live in different parts of the world, and you know what your experience was. And so that's a value that each of us have here. So then the second piece is that, and actually, Agna, I think you're probably a good example of this. I make friends wherever I go, and even if you're not an extrovert like me, I think just keeping that in mind, that anybody could be a potential friend, you know. So like Agna and you know everyone on your team was very helpful when I was moving here. I connected with them before I moved, and you know once I got here, I think we're like, oh, another great person that I'd like to know more about, and so you know, let's all get together and have dinner sometime. Which can be a little scary to propose those things sometimes, but I think it's really valuable. And we'll say, for the moment, that I'm not this kind of person that just starts asking everybody, do you want to be my friend? One thing that I've found that's also really helpful is that if you can volunteer, that's a great way to connect with people. Because even say if you have a language barrier, now you have a shared experience there, you're doing something with them, you're doing something for the good of the city, country, world, whatever it might be. And you know, someone will say that might not want to put the effort in other circumstances, sees that kindness that you have, and that opens them up to you. So those are my 3.
Okay, and I can see that we have some questions in Slido. Are there any in the audience as well? Okay, we'll start rolling with the Slido then. And something that was mentioned here, Fabian, you mentioned, you know, that a bit of Lithuanian helps. So let's explore this. You know, what is it a bit, and how necessary it is, and what is the level of expertise needed? I mean, you've been here for 9 years already, so you have had the longest journey out of all of us in the panel. So Lithuanian language, yeah, your tips and tricks. You know. Necessary, how much of it? Is it just a conversation starter, or is it necessary, you know, to have, you know, be able to have a conversation in maximum?
I think just a conversation started would be good, you know, like you can take maybe lessons. I took lessons twice in Vilnius University. I think just a few lessons, that makes the difference. You don't really need to be a professional in Lithuanian language. I'm still struggling, to be honest with you, because everybody speaks English. But I think that once I speak fluently Lithuanian, I will integrate like 150% here. You know, I feel that I have to be super fluent, and then I will be like super, super integrated. You can call me Fabianas if you want, you know. So, and that happens everywhere. I think if you go to Netherlands or Belgium, if you don't speak the language, or Ecuador, we speak Spanish, you really need to speak the language to fully integrate, let's say. But just with a few words, I think you can make a lot of great connections, yeah.
And others, do you share the sentiment about at least the conversation starter?
Absolutely. You know, like you pick your favorite phrases. I think even during the first discussion, you know, everybody has like at least that one sentence that you know, and it's important, right? Because it's saying that like you have intent, right? You're here for you're not just here because you have to be. It almost in a way advertises I'm here because I want to be, and I think that's a powerful message. And not only that, it's kind of a fun language to learn. You start learning like these little tweaks, like this sort of like kas at the end, right? So, you know, instead of like labas, it's like, how does it go? Labukas or like achukas? You know, it's like this sort of like sweet little like children's version of it, and it can be really fun and playful. Yeah, you start finding those little Easter eggs that every language has, and they can be really enjoyable. But I'm also taking the language lessons soon because I've found, and maybe this connects back with the first discussion panel, that there's not enough good apps for learning Lithuanian. So yeah. I hope, I think it's called iSpeak, is that what I heard earlier? Hopefully that helps change that. But I think having some formal structure from the university or wherever else is really helpful. And I believe International House does host sessions for people that want to learn the language, and they're free?
Yes, we do. We host free Lithuanian language lessons, and we need to do more of that because they just disappear like that.
Yeah, they fill up so fast. We tried like 3 times, so.
Yeah, once we open up a new group, 20 minutes later it's full. So we need more of those. We know, and we're doing our best.
Cool.
So how do you go about it, though? I mean, okay, so we have some sessions that fill up quickly. How do you go about forming, you know, those first sentences? Do you get a hand from Lithuanian colleagues? How do you actually go about learning?
Yeah, definitely. You need some Lithuanian colleagues to help you out. And I like to ask funny words as well, you know. How do you say this? How it would be funny? And I use these achukas or botelukas or whatever ukas. Really, it's cool, and yeah, it's nice to have a few Lithuanian friends. I have 3 or 4 very good Lithuanian friends that they are my brothers, really. So it's nice to have that people that, okay, if I need to go somewhere and I really need someone that is fluent in Lithuania, you can call, you know. So yeah, it's nice to have a friend.
Super critical. I think that especially when you first get here, you will eventually find some place where you need to be able to communicate with someone and you don't know the language, and it can be really painful if you don't got a buddy.
Especially in the migration department, when I came 9 years ago, it was crazy. Like, oh my gosh, the people was never speaking in English at all, not even trying, super angry. You go 3 times, they tell you this is wrong, you need to come back with another document. Oh my gosh. Now it's amazing. I went last year to renew my residence permit. Everyone spoke English, they were happy, smiling. It was amazing. Like, I was so shocked. It was
so
amazing.
That's where you go to find friends now.
Yeah,
everyone's
sure.
Smiling, happy,
yes.
knowing English.
I mean, for me personally, when someone gives you a smile, it changes my day, you know. Even if it's fake, sometimes in customer service, let's say you can give a fake smile. If you are a waitress or a waiter, give me a fake smile. But if I order something, I want you to smile at me and not be like, oh, what do you want or something, you know.
I just have this crazy idea of asking a show of hands. How many smiling? Have you seen a smiling Lithuanian today? There are some, yeah. I mean, it's not.
There are.
It does exist.
Of course,
we are there, but
weird
yes.
creatures somewhere there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I think it's a sentiment that Agne also mentioned. You know, even as Lithuanians which have spent some time abroad, coming back, it's a change.
Yes.
It's a proper Nordic experience to have these blank faces and having people ask you again. You know, being a person which has a blank face. You know, from my point of view, is usually you know, getting the questions like, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" No, it's just my, you know, that's my resting face. I need to take an effort to smile. It doesn't come naturally.
Can I ask you real quick? Do you ever have the thing where someone smiles at you and you're like, do they have a friend behind me? Are they smiling at me? Me?
Yeah. So one of the questions, again, about the Lithuanian language is, are there any easier ways to learn this? It's not like the easiest language in the world. I mean, it comes with the territory when you have like one of the oldest languages in the world. Yeah, that comes with a territory that doesn't change that much. It's an old one, so the words, yeah, achukas, it's cool, but you know, to understand the concept behind it, it's probably not that easy. Any tips how to make this easier?
Yeah, so actually I can share my story. Like, I started learning language from the beginning because I really like foreign languages. I tried to learn quite a few of them. And I really wanted, like, Lithuanian's kind of cool, somewhere abroad, to flex in, like, I speak Lithuanian, even if I'm not. It's like A1 level, but still. So I wanted, because this is the way of the appreciation. How can I appreciate the culture? I'm kind of grateful. So, yeah. And once I started, I didn't have an opportunity to actually practice it because I was surrounded within my Russian, Ukrainian-speaking, English-speaking bubble. So even with those people who are Lithuanian regionally, but they speak Russian with me, I asked, like, please, let's at least text me in Lithuanian something, like, Laba diena, like something, ačiū, lašiša, something. But for some reason, it's always like the common language within the group, which was English, either Russian. So yeah, but right now the situation is really different because I work in an international team, and we have quite a few very friendly, open-minded Lithuanian guys who are like encouraging me. Like, I'm starting to understand that, oh, they went parukit, they went for something. So I already distinguished some words, and I like, okay, let's try. You understand something? Let's get even short conversation. And once I'm trying to say something that, yeah, you're gonna be very good with Lithuanian because of your precise pronunciation. So yeah, maybe this is not true, but still, it's kind of very supportive and encouraging. So next Monday, I'm going to Vilnius University to the Lithuanian courses. So yeah, that's the trick to practice. You need to find a pal, friend, or someone from your team, like, I don't know, from your group to practice with. That's the only choice.
Steven?
So I'll follow up on that. One thing I've found interesting here is that people are willing to speak Lithuanian with you, right? So, like, you know, there's certain places you can go and they're like, oh no, you speak English, you speak Russian, we're just speaking that now. And here, like, you know, yesterday morning I was at Caffeine just like getting my coffee, and I went up to the register and I'm like, can we try speaking Lithuanian? You know, and I do my whole order that way. And she's like, yeah, sure. And I think that's really nice and helpful. Another one that I like, okay, so it's not going to be your top radio hit, but 94.9, I believe, is the children's radio station. And songs intended for children are naturally much simpler than ones intended for adults. It's like, I love my mom, I love my dad, let's go buy some vegetables. You know, whatever it might be. I'm like, those are words I know. Okay, great. I can't promise you that you'd get your full vocabulary from that radio station, but you'd be off to a good start.
So that's where you get achukas and labukas from.
Yeah.
But sort of feeds back to the mental health issue, isn't it, after some time? But yeah, it's a very valid point. There's a science behind it as well. That learning foreign language and reading children's books. That content is precisely made, you know, for people that have a limited vocabulary and learning the top sort of words, because in every language probably 200 words will set you up for 90% of conversations. Agne, you know, we hear these thoughts about Lithuanian language being a must, and it's kind of tricky to get into that. From International House Vilnius point of view, you know, with the Befriend, with the Lithuanian language courses, what is the sort of feeling? Is Lithuanian sort of knowing Lithuanian is hit or miss for being local, or I'm trying to form a question that is it necessary? I mean, from like a 10,000 people that you've had in International House Vilnius so far this year, is the feeling that if you know Lithuanian, that is the sort of the key metric, that you will go places, and if you don't, then probably, yeah, it won't work out. That will be, you know, the 60% that are more likely to leave.
No, of course it will work out without Lithuanian. So actually I'm here with Fabian, who said that it helps break the ice. And I think like small phrases really just help you feel more, you know, just to have a small conversation and help you feel a bit more like a local. But for sure in Vilnius you can get a job without knowing Lithuanian. And most likely it will take you a while to reach that level where you could be really efficient in working in Lithuanian. So don't worry if, you know, languages is not your thing. Learn ačiū and kipsakas and you'll be good.
And do you work with people that come to Lithuania and they don't necessarily have sort of a predetermined plan? You know, they're not coming for a specific job like currently. They might be, you know, students that just are out of university. Do you help out with people that are sort of looking for a place to belong, looking for their sort of career path or something similar? Do you sort of serve these people, and how can you help? Because we have actually one of the questions on Slido here is about a specific case, about a person coming to Vilnius with a specific ideas as a musician and a sound technician. So I mean, either this case or some other cases. Is International House Vilnius a place to go?
Of course, we can just give you a broad consultation and explain to you what are the legal ways to stay in Lithuania, because in most cases you also need to have a ground to stay here. It's hard just to, you know, to come, and especially if you are from a third country, you know, like not from an EU country, you come and you just think, okay, I will stay here. You need to have a ground. So either it has to be a job, or it can be family reunification, or student, or like etc. But of course, we work a lot with people who are still in the phase of thinking what to do next. So, for example, spouses of people who already have a job, very often they're just trying to figure out, you know, maybe become self-employed, or someone's waving, maybe become self-employed, maybe start their own business, maybe look for a job, maybe, I don't know, just to have enough money to sustain themselves. So yeah, we can help them to figure it out.
Okay, and one of your products that you described, a program Befriend, which is also available for well, everyone in Vilnius that want to meet a friend, sort of like the first Lithuanian friend, or even an international friend as well. Guys, and I'm opening this question again to all of you at the same time. We've discussed Lithuanian language, we've discussed how important it is to have someone on a phone, to basically have someone to call if a situation is dire in the same Maxim or somewhere in taxi or somewhere. Yeah, how do you go about, you know, finding that first person? From your experience, you know, was it difficult or was it more easy than difficult? Because in some cases, you would assume that, you know, having in your workplace or in some other mediums like volunteering, for example, in those sort of groups, having a foreigner automatically means that everyone else will be very sort of willing to help. But in some other cases, it might be the opposite. You might feel somehow excluded, you know, from some of the conversations in that group. So, what are your experience, you know, finding like local friends? Because the program wasn't there when you were making friends. So how did you go about?
So me personally, when I was a student, I like to go out a lot. So I still like to go out. So it's perfect place to meet some people. You know, in a pub, let's say. You know, there are some events where they organize pub quizzes. That was also helping me. And I have a friend that she recently moved to Lithuania, and she was looking for Lithuanian friend girl, and she downloaded an app. It's also a dating app, but you can find friends there. Like, it's not for dating, so only. So you can find a best friend, like girl. So she found a Lithuanian friend there, and now they are besties. So that's nowadays it's another option, you know. But for me, I was just going to events, parties, everything, you know. In Kazuko Muge also I was going there, meeting people, and with some other friends at some point we were going to these couch surfing meetings, but long time ago. I don't know how they are right now, but back then there were some very nice Lithuanians going there, yeah.
Yeah, for me it was actually my first workplace. So yeah, I had and still have a really good friend. He's Lithuanian. He's still my go-to person when I need to figure out what they're renting contracts. Sometimes they only in Lithuanian, so I'm like texting, can you please check? So he's kind of my lawyer, my translator. So yeah, and maybe it sounds a bit, I don't know, but Tinder? Because of course, if you are like lonely, alone, I don't know, if you are looking for something, you can go there, maybe other dating apps, and you can find someone. I had a few dates. That's how I met maybe people I'm not in a relationship with, but we like stay good friends, and those were Lithuanian actually, because in my workplace I didn't have the chance. But yeah, actually some of them from Tinder.
Yeah, that's true actually. I did
You
the
can
same.
relate.
Yes, yes, but my girlfriend is here, so I didn't want to say that, but it's okay.
But you said it anyway now.
Yeah, whatever.
Steven.
Yeah. So, wait, what's the question?
How do you go about making that first friend?
So, if you, to the best of your ability, if you can, and it's too late for you all, make that friend before you even get here. No, like there are, you know, I think my wife Eva is great about this. So she was sort of on social detail before we got here, and it was about, you know, connecting with people that are already here, messaging people, you know, whether it's on Facebook or whatever, I don't know all the things, but like she's part of this organization called Girls Gone International, and in that case it's for women connecting in new cities, and of course it's going to be oriented towards people that are either from other places or interested in people that are from other places or want to go other places. So those things help. The other thing that I think really helps is listening and caring about what other people have to say, because I think a lot of people like to share their, you know, ask somebody about their village house. You know, like I've learned that a lot of people here have a place outside the city, maybe that their family's from or whatever it is. And, you know, it's special to them, and to get to talk about it is pretty cool. And then eventually you even get to, you know, get invited to a few of them, and you're like, wow, all right, this is pretty awesome. And what I'll mention there is that, you know, I feel like everything we've been saying about language has been very Vilnius-centered. And recognizing that once you start adventuring out, you're going to find different levels of English comprehension, and your ability to speak even a bit of Lithuanian is going to be really helpful, and it's also going to be really valued. You know, there's sometimes we would have these conversations just saying really simple things like, you know, where we come from and why we're here. It's like a few sentences, and it can really like light people up, because they're like, cool, I'm meeting someone from a different part of the world in Pavuche, whatever, you know, like pick your like little small random place, and they're like, all right. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole conversation answers that question, really.
All right.
Just a quick reaction. Have you been to Lithuanian wedding yet? Any of you? like the proper one, the traditional one?
Yes, yes, it's crazy. Really nice. I really enjoy it. Yeah, very nice. A lot of alcohol and food. So
that's a real milestone.
That's perfect. Yeah.
That's a real milestone. Actually, last night we, with some colleagues from work, we were spending the evening and we were discussing somehow Lithuanian wedding, and not even in the crowd of like 100% Lithuanians, maybe one or two hands that have experienced that. We all know what it is in theory, yeah. So kudos there. We have very specific question on Slido. Maybe you have some experiences that you can share about finding a place to live in Vilnius. This is becoming increasingly more difficult for everyone, for Lithuanians and for someone coming from abroad. I think it's even more difficult now. Any tips and tricks? I think the situations might be very different in your cases, but is there something that you could share about some ideas how to go about that? Maybe universities can help. Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, what I would say is I treat this kind of like online dating in that you need to get the important information right away. So one of those that is still very much true here is not everybody will feel comfortable renting to a foreigner. And that's just the truth of it. I mean, obviously, we've all been fortunate in that way, but it's not always going to be the case. And that's not information you want to be waiting too long to find out. I've also learned that there are certain rules about whether or not you declare that somebody's at your home or not, because that can have some implications for taxes and whatever else. That's another question you want to ask, because it can end up being a safety issue. You know, I heard about a family recently where only the father was declared at the place and they didn't want to declare the children, and they needed to for their status here. And so there's a lot of like little messy things that really, if you can pin those down early on, can be really helpful. So I don't know if that's the kind of tip you were looking for, but more just something to be aware of when you are searching. And obviously the very easy answer, unfortunately, is having a lot of money, of course, right? You can throw money at situations like that and suddenly places become available. Not everybody has that opportunity, and so that's when it's important to start building out your network with local people, because you may find that that person who has a place open isn't going to be the one that's on Skelbu or Arudas, whatever it's called. You know, it's going to be, oh, actually my friend has a place or is looking for a roommate, whatever. Sort of like those person-to-person ways can still be really valuable and work really well for finding good places to live.
I suppose we can really, emphasize the point of finding a roommate, that you don't have to be alone in the search. It might help some things. Guys, do you have experiences to share?
Yes, so actually I have a story. Like, if you're trying to relocate, from my perspective, my example was I was relocating from Ukraine. So for me, like, company didn't offer the relocation firstly, but I specifically asked, like, okay, this is the new country for me. I don't know, maybe you can help me, to support me. And they like, okay, like, if you're asking, okay, whatever, we can find you a place for 1 month. And after that, I stayed in that place for already 3 years. I live in the same area, in the same place. It's my 3rd apartment, but still it's the same building because it was really good. So actually they helped, because on that point when you are relocating, I didn't know about Aruodas LT. I didn't know about those websites when you can look. So if you don't be shy. If it's not included into your package, just ask, because sometimes if you're asking, people can like offer it to you just because upon your need. So for me, I would encourage to ask and voice your needs if it's needed. Yeah.
Can I follow up on that, Anastasia? I think there's something like really that you said there that's really helpful is, if you're in the position where even you can rent someplace short term, a lot of times once you establish a connection with whoever the person is that's renting, then suddenly they're more flexible. They're like, okay, they already know you. Oh, that's a person that, I connect well with. Yeah, I would be happy to, instead of renting for a month, rent this to this person for a year. So it can have a little risk associated with it, but I've seen it work well several times.
Yeah, for me, they offered like this. It was for 1 month. It was just Airbnb. And after that, I like, okay, this is a good place. And of course, during the months in my workplace, I already established some first connections. And they suggested, like, you can look on Aruodas. I just started to look within the same area and found the place and end up living here for a few years. So for me, that worked.
I can add that it's important as well to emphasize to the landlords, if you are living here, that if you are working, that you are working, that you are a responsible person, whatever. And for me, it helped to speak Lithuanian, because once one landlord told his son that he doesn't want to rent it to me because he doesn't speak Lithuanian and he will not communicate with me in Lithuanian. So I replied to that message in Lithuanian, and I say, I speak Lithuanian. And then, okay, let's do it. And we met. I didn't understand 50% of the things, but I lived there for 1.5 years, and everything was good. So I think that's also important. And nowadays, it's important to make the decisions fast. I was putting an alert in Aruodas that every new apartment sends me an email, let's say, so, and I would call. And I think you need to make a decision in 20 minutes. Right now, if you sleep, you lose. So
yes, I can follow up on this, because like 3 years ago the situation was completely different. Right now I changed my contract. I moved to another apartment this summer, and yeah, I did that. I follow up the emails, and the apartment I found, like, I called within 25 minutes once it was published, and she was like, okay, you're gonna be the 7th who's coming to see. Like, I was super lucky to find that place. But yeah, you should be lucky, you should be fast, and you should, like, it's like a date. You need to impress people, you need to be friendly, open, you need to be trustworthy. Yeah, there's no other secrets.
Yeah, thanks for sharing these insights. I think very helpful, because we're speaking to the audience which are very much like you in different stages of their journey to becoming local. One last message that I left for the end from our platform about those. It's a message to those that understand Russian language. Apparently, there's a Facebook group called Meetup Vilnius, and someone organizes speed friending, brunch talks, book club meetings, and much more. So Meetup Vilnius, if you think that is to you. But we've discussed a lot about social media and being a good platform to meet friends. So we're not disappearing suddenly after this. Our time is up on the stage, so some other activities will be commencing now, but we'll be present here. So if anyone wants to come and chat, we're here. And I want to thank our panel with a round of applause. Sia, Fabian, Agne, Steven, and best of luck on your journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.